Have you ever noticed something strange? The biggest problems in your life are often not the real problems. It's the thinking about the problems. You send a message. They don't reply. 10 minutes later, your brain says, "What if they're upset?" An hour later, "What if I said something wrong?" By the evening, you've created an entire movie in your head. A movie that probably isn't even real. And that's the scary part. Overthinking feels productive. It feels like you're solving something. But in reality, you're doing the exact opposite. You're feeding a machine that gets stronger every time you use it. A machine designed to find problems, even when there are none. And today, I'm going to show you how to stop it. Not tomorrow. Not after months of meditation. Not after reading 10 psychology books. In the next 5 minutes. Because the truth is, overthinking isn't a personality trait. It's a habit. And habits can be broken. But before we get into the solution, you need to understand something almost nobody talks about. Because once you understand this one idea, your relationship with your thoughts changes forever. Let's begin. Imagine you're walking through a forest 20,000 years ago. You hear a sound in the bushes. What happens? Your brain immediately assumes danger. Maybe it's a tiger. Maybe it's a predator. Maybe it's something that wants to kill you. Now imagine the sound was actually nothing. Just the wind. If your brain overreacted, you survived. If your brain ignored the sound and it was a tiger, you died. So over thousands of years, human brains evolved to expect danger. Not happiness. Not peace. Danger. Your brain isn't designed to make you calm. It's designed to keep you alive. And that's exactly why overthinking exists. The problem is, the world changed. But your brain didn't. Today, there are no tigers hiding behind every corner. Yet your brain still scans for threats. Only now the threats look different. A text message. A job interview. A future decision. A mistake you made 3 years ago. Your brain treats all of them like life or death situations. And that's why you can't stop thinking. You're not broken. Your brain is simply doing the job it was programmed to do. But here's where things get interesting. Most people think overthinking comes from having too many thoughts. That's wrong. Overthinking comes from believing every thought deserves attention. Think about that. If I told you right now, imagine a pink elephant wearing sunglasses. You can see it. But you don't spend the next 3 hours analyzing the elephant. Why? Because your brain knows it's meaningless. You let it pass. But when a thought sounds important, everything changes. What if I fail? What if they judge me? What if I make the wrong decision? Suddenly your brain treats that thought like an emergency. And the moment you do that, you enter the overthinking trap. Here's how the trap works. Step 1. A thought appears. Step 2. You believe the thought is important. Step 3. You analyze it. Step 4. Your brain interprets the analysis as proof that the thought matters. Step 5. The thought comes back even stronger. And now the cycle repeats. Again. And again. And again. The reason you're exhausted isn't because life is hard. It's because you're fighting the same thought hundreds of times. Now here's the crazy part. Most people try to solve overthinking by thinking more. They try to find the perfect answer. The perfect certainty. The perfect explanation. But certainty is impossible. And the search for certainty creates more anxiety. It's like trying to put out a fire by pouring gasoline on it. So what's the solution? The 5-minute rule. This is one of the most powerful mental techniques you'll ever learn. The next time you catch yourself overthinking, do this. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Only 5. Then write down exactly what you're worried about. Not in your head. On paper. Or on your phone. For example, what if I fail the exam? What if I choose the wrong career? What if they don't like me? Now here's the important part. When the timer ends, stop. No matter what. Most people never stop. They keep feeding the thought. You won't. Because the goal isn't solving the problem. The goal is breaking the loop. And something fascinating happens. Once thoughts leave your head and enter the real world, they lose power. They stop feeling like giant monsters. They become words. Just words. And words are much easier to handle. But that's only the first step. Because there's another reason overthinking controls people. And it has nothing to do with thinking. It has everything to do with action. Think about the last thing you overthought. Maybe starting a project. Maybe going to the gym. Maybe studying. Maybe talking to someone. Now ask yourself, did thinking help? Or did action help? Because every time action begins, overthinking weakens. The human brain can either analyze or engage. It struggles to do both at the same time. That's why the most effective cure for overthinking is movement. Not motivation. Movement. Let's say you're overthinking going to the gym. Don't commit to a workout. Put on your shoes. That's it. If you're overthinking studying, open the book. Read 1 page. If you're overthinking writing, write 1 sentence. Notice the pattern? The goal isn't finishing. The goal is starting. Because action creates clarity. Thinking rarely does. Most people wait for confidence before taking action. Successful people do the opposite. They take action first. And confidence follows. That's why overthinkers often stay stuck. They're waiting for a feeling that only arrives after movement begins. And here's something even more important. The majority of your worries never happen. Researchers have repeatedly found that most feared outcomes never become reality. Think about all the things you worried about last year. How many actually happened? Probably very few. Yet your brain treated every possibility as if it were guaranteed. That's what overthinking does. It confuses possibility with probability. Just because something could happen doesn't mean it will. You could embarrass yourself. You could fail. You could make a mistake. But you could also succeed. You could learn. You could become stronger. Overthinking only shows you one side of the equation. Reality contains both. Now I want to show you something that changed my perspective forever. Imagine 2 people. Both face the exact same challenge. Person number 1 spends 6 months thinking, researching, planning, analyzing, worrying, preparing. Person number 2 starts immediately. Makes mistakes. Looks foolish sometimes. Learns. Adjusts. Improves. 1 year later, who is ahead? Almost always the second person. Because experience teaches faster than thought. Action teaches faster than theory. Reality teaches faster than imagination. And that's why overthinking is so dangerous. It creates the illusion of progress. You feel busy. You feel productive. You feel like you're working on the problem. But you're standing still. It's like sitting in a rocking chair. You're moving constantly, yet going nowhere. The people who achieve incredible things aren't fearless. They aren't free from doubt. They simply learn something most people never discover. Thoughts don't need permission to exist. And you don't need permission to ignore them. Just because a thought enters your mind doesn't mean it deserves your attention. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. And that distinction changes everything. Because the moment you realize that, you stop fighting every thought. You stop debating every fear. You stop negotiating with every worry. You simply watch them come. And watch them leave. Like clouds passing through the sky. Some are dark. Some are bright. But none stay forever. And now we're back to the promise at the beginning of this video. How do you stop overthinking in 5 minutes? Simple. First, catch the thought. Second, write it down. Third, set a 5-minute limit. Fourth, stop when the timer ends. Fifth, take one tiny action immediately. Not tomorrow. Not later. Now. Because overthinking survives on hesitation. Action kills it. Remember this. The goal isn't to eliminate thoughts. That's impossible. The goal is to stop treating every thought like an emergency. Your mind will always generate ideas, questions, doubts, fears. That's what minds do. But you decide which ones deserve your attention. And the next time your brain starts creating worst-case scenarios, ask yourself one question. Is this helping me move forward? If the answer is no, let the thought go. Then take one small step. Because your future won't be built by the thoughts you think. It will be built by the actions you take. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop thinking and start living.